So India.arie is with us, and she's got a new CD. This is your 6th CD? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 6?
I keep forgetting.
They're like children. How do you forget? They're like your babies.
Well, this one was different.
It was different.
They are like my babies.
Yeah.
But this one was different because, I don't know, the whole process of it was just different. Working with Joe Sample and it coming about so fast, and then we put the pause on it last year when he passed away, then put it out this year instead, and it's just been different. And it doesn't register like it's my album because I didn't write all the songs.
But is this your first Christmas CD?
Yes.
Yeah. So when he passed, did you not want to finish it?
No, I just didn't want to put it out.
Why?
Yet. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like to keep pushing forward and getting all the documents signed and all the stuff, the business stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought it was good to wait. And I'm glad I did because none of the guest appearances were on there at first.
Oh, so you went back and added that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that was a nice, I love what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
I've never done anything like that. And I love to collaborate. I love it. To hear other people's takes on things and see what they bring out of me.
So how did you arrive at, like, let's say, putting Trombone Shorty on the CD? How did that come about?
Well, that was a little bit different because I did that song, I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm, for Dave Kaz's Christmas project.
Okay.
And then they let me license it, and we did a new mix on it because I wanted it to sound a little bit different. But all the same musicians, and so he had Trombone Shorty.
Okay.
So I was honored to be able to include him on my project.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. When I first saw the CD and I saw cut number 5 with Michael McDonald, I was like, I got to hear that. I got to hear that. And, you know, you sound like you're a little tipsy at the beginning. I got to be real honest with you.
No, I'm just singing the blues.
Christmas.
I'm just singing the blues.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
Christmas.
My family's Southern. That's how they say it.
Well, I heard that. So, but I mean, were you intimidated when you had the opportunity to work with Joe Sample? Because he was such a legend.
A little bit.
A little bit?
Because we started recording my final vocals, I did them at home in my living room studio. Wow. But while we were tracking the jazz trio, I also sang to like guide the songs, and maybe they would be keeper vocals. And Joe was right there. So that made me nervous. And
wow.
I mean, I get nervous everything I do, but that made me really nervous.
Have you ever before been intimidated by an artist that you were going to work with, or?
I wouldn't call it intimidated, but nervous. Nervous? Every time I get on stage, every time I do something new, I just get nervous.
I always heard that's a good thing, though.
I heard people say that, too, because it means you're trying to be good.
You're trying to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, every day. I mean, I've been doing radio. I was a DJ at the Last Supper, okay? I was there a long time, right? But every time I walk from the parking lot into the building, I still get nervous.
That little excitement.
But it motivates me.
I have been intimidated before. Recently.
Really?
We were at the Essence Festival, and they were honoring Kim Burrell, and I wasn't on the lineup. I was just hanging out because I wanted to see the show. Oh. And she called me up. Oh. And I was like, how do you sing in front of Kim Burrell, first of all, and then like on the fly when it's your vocal rest day? And so I just was like, well, she asked me to, so I'm just going to sing the best I can.
Wow.
And I did something, and she went, woo, and I said, okay.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
So,
but, you know.
What do you do between projects outside of touring? Like when you're in your downtime, what is it that do you just live your life? Do you travel a lot? I mean,
I do a lot of different things. I don't mean to tell your business, but you were just telling me that you just got here and that God told you it was time to move. And I am honored to be, I'm not honored is not the right word. I feel blessed to be able to live my life in a way where I can listen to my internal call and listen to how God is impressing upon me. So I've done a lot of different things. I lived in the Pacific Northwest for a few years. I don't know if you know this, but I took a 4-year hiatus and I lived in Seattle for that time. It was awesome, like to be able to not just try new things, but be a new way. And I also like to just spend time reading and going to shows. And I've spent many years just being at home for some stretches of time.
Right.
Testimony Volume 1 and 2, those albums, I was just home.
Are you okay not doing anything?
Yes. I'm okay not doing anything, and I'm okay spending time alone.
Okay.
But I like to be around people too. And I like to do things too. But it's so, there's so much, it's so tumultuous these last 10 years, like all the travel. And because I wasn't just like a new, young, famous person, I was also learning how to travel for business. And anybody who does that for work knows that's hard, especially when you don't know what you're doing at all. So you're traveling, then you get there, you got to do the show and interviews, and you got to look right and sound right and be right. And you got to get your head together inside. And so there's a lot. So when it's time off, I'm very comfortable doing nothing.
So is it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah. It's not, the answer is not no. It's a lot more than I thought it would be, and that made it hard.
Yeah.
But
But you know what? We celebrate things that are hard.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
Right,
do.
because we give people awards for doing something that is hard to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the things in life that some people would consider simple, like buying a house, we celebrate that.
Yeah.
Hey, we closed on a house. Let's go have dinner. You know, like that, right?
Yeah.
Graduations.
Yeah.
Engagements.
Yeah.
Everything, and those things, because they're hard. They're hard to get, so we celebrate them.
The triumph of it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to recognize my achievements as such.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of that, there were other things that were just hard,
Mm-hmm.
like growing pains. We don't really celebrate growing pains. You know what I mean? We get through it and go, I love what it's turned me into.
Right.
And so I'm loving that right now.
Right. I mean, I look at the fact that I spent 27 years living in another city as becoming the man that God wanted me to be. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And I didn't come to that conclusion until maybe like 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And so now I know that I have purpose. I have like a reason to exist.
Yes.
Because I have this platform to do many different things.
That's beautiful.
You know, but for you who, you know, plays to the masses, mm-hmm. right? I'm in one city. You're all around the world. Mm-hmm. There has to be some joy in that, though.
There's joy on stage. I love being on stage. A lot of the things that come with it are hard, but a lot of things that come up to the stage, like the stage is like 1% of your day. But I love that part, and I do all of it for that. Mm-hmm. But then there's the other part where now that I'm maturing, I'm learning that, how do I say this? I haven't said this sentence before. I'm learning that I knew what my purpose was at a very young age. And I didn't know how blessed I was to have that. Like I was 19 and I didn't know that it could actually be my purpose, mm-hmm. but it turned into that because I get to say the things I say in my music and share spiritual ideals and concepts in a popular music forum.
Right.
And that is big. At that time it was just a wish, but it has turned into a purpose.
Right.
And so I've been walking with the purpose for my whole adult life. And I realize it takes a lot of people a lot of time. They know what they want to do, but they don't know how to do it. And I knew what I wanted and how, and I had a path and a purpose. And Did
you ever have a plan B though?
No.
Besides music?
No.
It was always going to be music in some way, shape, or form.
The thing my first album came out at 25, so I didn't have enough time to think of what a plan B would be had I needed one.
Yeah.
But I never had a plan B. And now I'm just now thinking, not plan B, but I'm thinking next, what I want to do next. I always want to make music, but I want to do other things too. Like I would like to teach, mm-hmm. I would like to write, mm-hmm. and other things are just my passions. I write a lot in my downtime when you ask me what else I do. Mm-hmm. I love to write. I've never published anything. I just recently published a 200-page essay on my website. And so I want to engage some of my other passions and things that I feel like I've matured enough to be able to do now. Like, what was I going to write about at 23? There's something to write about, but now I love what I'm writing about. So I never had time to think of a plan B.
Right.
And that kind of made it hard.
Okay.
Because it'll be like, because on the days when I really am having a hard time and I'm not liking what's going on, I'd be like, well, this is what I do. Right. And there were times when I tried to like go against what I feel like my purpose is, mm-hmm. and go, I'm going to live in Seattle and go to college. Mm-hmm. And then the music would just call me back.
Call you back.
Every time.
But you knew that was your calling then. You knew that was what you were here for.
Yes. And I learned that I got to a place, and I feel like it's kind of what you were saying. I got to a place where I actually want the same thing that God wants for me. You know, we have that. We're that is ingrained in us as Black Americans. Like we all have church in us, mm-hmm. to some degree. Mm-hmm. And so we know that we want God's purpose on our life. But there's also that free will. And so for those years, I was kind of like, well, I want to do this and I want to try that, and trying to hear the voice of God in it. But I learned that I got to a place where I genuinely actually want what God wants for me.
Wow.
So whatever it is, I'm like ready to do it.
But that is so like, it's empowering when you know that.
Yes.
And there's a relief in there somewhere too.
I feel relieved and empowered.
Yeah.
Those are two words that I've been using a lot lately.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
So what's after this CD? Do you have your next album written already, or how does that process work?
I don't have my next album written, but it is coming together. And I have a feeling tone of it. I know what I want it to feel like. And songs are kind of like coming out, little snippets. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. And I also wanted to tell you something.
Yes.
We've been talking about this whole spiritual maturing process. Mm-hmm. I don't know how this conversation turned into that, but we've been talking about that. And that is actually reflected in Christmas with Friends.
Okay.
You know, like the growing pains.
Sure.
There's the painful part and then there's the growth part. And the vocals on that album are the best singing I've ever done.
Wow.
And when I started cutting the vocals, I would hear the playback and think like, I'm really like singing different.
You're on another level.
Another level. And I like the confidence.
Why do you think that was, though?
Maturing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in our culture, we celebrate youth, and especially in the music industry, it's like the younger you are and the talent you have when you're young and with talent, and that's catchy and people like that. But we all know that our favorite musicians came into their sweet spot as they got older.
Right.
Like Bill Withers or even Stevie.
Yeah.
You know, from 12, like, but when he was 35, that was something else.
Yeah.
But
Bill Withers started really late.
Yeah, he started at 40.
At 40,
But when you see somebody come in fully formed like that, that's rare.
Yeah.
That's what I think about Gregory Porter. He just came in fully formed. Like who is this guy?
Right.
Gregory Porter is my favorite thing right now.
Wow. Yeah.
But I've grown up in the public eye. My first album was 25, and I just turned 40.
Wow.
And when I hear myself sing those songs, I love what it sounds like. That's the vocalist I always wanted to be right there.
Well, that is fantastic.
So,
this is reason enough. If she says this is her best vocals to date, this is
is
the reason why you would want this, right? You would want it for that reason because.
And Joe Sample's piano playing with my best vocals, that is quite a piece right there.
Was it your decision to put him on the cover with you?
Yes.
That's a beautiful
I always
picture.
wanted that. But then when he passed before we could do an official photo shoot.
Yeah.
So that was actually at the end of the day. And somebody said, hey, guys, turn around. And we turned around and we just smiled. And that ended up being.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go back before we close here. I always like to ask you singers, like, where were you the first time you heard your first single on the radio? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. And actually, I have two little things I want to say about that. I was in the kitchen with my mom. We lived in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And it came on. We were like, oh, it's on. And then I went to a show to see Bilal. He had just come out, and I wanted to see him sing live because he's like, well, I think one of the best vocalists of our generation. Very free in his ear and all that. And I went to see him, and he said, your song is everywhere. And I said, is it? And he was like, I heard it on the radio 5 times today. And I was like, you did? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so then I realized that it was out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you'll ever sing with your mom?
Do I ever sing with her?
No. Will you like record something?
Oh, record. Well, going back to Christmas with Friends for a second.
Yeah.
There's one original song on there. It's called Favorite Time of Year. My mother wrote that.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah, she doesn't sing on it. You hear her like in the background doing like little woos and little stuff in the song. She doesn't sing on it, but we sing together live often. But I would like to record something. It might be time for that. But you've heard her lyrical input on a lot of songs. Like there are things where I don't credit her, and she's like, you should put this or that. And she also taught me everything I know about singing. She like brings like little vocal nuances that I need. Like, you should add that or this. But funny enough, she didn't say anything about any of these Christmas vocals. She was like, that's it.
Wow.
So I think I've come into my own.
There you go. Very good.
But I would like to record something with her.
Well, let's make it happen, Captain. Let's get her in the studio. For people who don't know, your mom was signed to Motown years ago. And
she was not signed. They wanted to sign her.
They wanted to sign her.
But she had a 14-piece band of her own.
Look at that.
She didn't want to leave her brother. They're like her brothers.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to leave them behind. But she met Stevie Wonder at that time. That's a lot of the reason why he's embraced me the way he has, because we're almost like family.
Yeah.
And there was like a rumor going around in the beginning of my career that he was my father. He loves her like that because it's her dad.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But
your
like
dad's
family.
famous too, though. Your dad was an NBA basketball player.
Yeah, ABA and NBA.
Yeah. Is that where you get your height from?
I'm not tall. I have on heels.
Oh, you got on heels.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But it's where I get my athletic build. But also, just a side note, Common, the rapper, my father and his father played together in the Denver Rockets, in the ABA.
Okay.
And so they were friends until his father passed away. They both still lived in Denver. And, you know, Common's dad, I don't know if you know, his dad passed away, I think, a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But they were friends all the way.
Wow.
And so Common would say, my dad got your pictures all up in the house. And I'm like, oh, that's just nice.
That's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool.
So in some instances, we live in a small world, but in some instances, we live in a huge world.
Yeah, because there's so much. And actually, side note, but my last album, Songversation, I recorded it in Istanbul. Wow. And I went, and there's a singer, this is a whole nother story, but a singer I met walking down the street in the village, she ended up being Turkey's biggest star.
Wow.
And she gave me her box set, and I was like, stop this right now. I couldn't believe that she was that person.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I went
really
to Turkey,
cool.
and she helped me to record these songs, and it's a small world and a big world.
It is a small world and a big world. Well, thanks for coming by and talking with me.
Thank you.
The CD is called Christmas with Friends with India.arie and Joe Sample. You can get it where you get it.
Yes.
I got a copy right here, and you can't have it. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much.